Hey, how you doing? www.andrewmarkmusic.com. And this is March 12th, 2017. And I had an old friend drop in to say hello. And his name's Paul. And he has a very interesting story to tell. And but first, I think it's best to lay some context and groundwork here. So I'm going to introduce myself, and then I'll pass off to Paul, and he can start his story. I grew up in a secular household in Canada. Quite normal. The background noise of Christmas and Easter and Charlton Heston. But religion and God wasn't central at all to my life. But at the same time, there was something about my personality that was always very interested, even from a young age, about the nature of reality. Questions like, who am I? I had this constant, itchy scratchy to what's going on here? What's this about? And that carried on into my late teenage years, where I decided to give everything I owned away and go searching for the nature of reality. Very dumb thing to do. And so that's some context about this. Now, today I describe myself many years later on that journey as an agnostic Gnostic. But there's a certain level of cognition where paradox just isn't a problem, and I think that I'm able to hold paradox without any mental disturbance. So what that means is that if I look at the scientific story of the universe, and I ask myself, which religion best describes the conditions of the universe? I've come to the conclusion that it's the Gnostic tradition that describes the natural universe best. The hostility of the universe, especially as it relates to human beings, how life has to eat life to survive. There's something absolutely brutal about this, which isn't to say that there isn't the beauty. Yes, there's the beauty, but there's also, we cannot dismiss the sheer existential ugliness of the human condition and being in the middle of nowhere with no rhyme or reason or explanation for anything. And then I look at all the religious claims out there since the Actual Age, and I go, I've read all their books, and to me they're all contradictory. I believe 500 years of academia has proven that they're all internally contradictory. They make no sense. They're just fables and stories and myths. And when you compare every religion, they're also contradictory. So I think I've come to the conclusion that the last place where we can find truth about the nature of reality is within these Axial Age mythological religions. And I think this is something that Paul and I share a common theme with, that religions are negative. They're not doing humanity any good. So anyway, that's a little bit about me, and I'll try to do my best Abby Martin imitation here. Hopefully I don't fail too badly. So the interesting twist to my longtime friend dropping in on me is that he's no longer Paul. And his name is Kah-Len Nezu. And he has a very interesting story to tell. So maybe first, just tell us about the relationship between Paul and Kah-Len.
Okay, well, in 1967, Paul was born here. He grew up to be, he was about 3 years old when he was beat over the head with baseball bats, and I happened to walk into this body in 1970 with an agreement between Paul's soul and I had agreed to come here, and he had left. Anyway, to make a long story short, I was a walk-in previous to this, to coming here, and coming here, we saw that there was a lot of control from Alpha Draconians here on this planet. So I had to infiltrate. With a lot of us, we've infiltrated the human race. It seems to be the best way that we could actually come here undetected, so to speak.
So what you're saying is that you walked into Paul's body for a specific reason.
Yes.
And Paul's body is on this planet, and there's something about planet Earth that made you come here to say, instead of some other planet and 25 galaxy million billion light years away or whatever, but there's something about this planet.
Yes.
So what is it about this planet? What's going on here?
There is a very large threat to the Federation. The Federation is about 5,000 planets. There are 32 other planets similar to this one, but this one seems to be the one that the Alpha Draconians seem to have a fairly large grip on, and they have only been upping their game plan. They haven't really loosened their grip on this planet, and it seems to be working really well for them.
Now, that's interesting. So there is something about this particular planet that has brought you here. I wanted to touch on my view of religion and how I don't find it to be a positive force within civilization. Do you share that agreement?
Yes.
So there's something about religion that's wrong. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we share that. Now you've really hit a left hook here, if I can use a golf metaphor, and you're talking about aliens and okay, so I'm sure there's people listening to this who are going to go, WTF, and so let's explore that. Now, philosophically, the first school of philosophy is metaphysics, and you've just touched on a branch of metaphysics which is called cosmology. And but for myself, I don't have a problem with the idea of ET, extraterrestrial life, alien life. If I understand modern cosmology, it's completely consistent and congruent that there's alien life. But you're taking it one step further and saying you are alien life, and that not only is there alien life, they're ubiquitous on this planet. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Wow. Now, I want to get into the idea of my own visions here. Now, I wandered for 6 years in the boonies, doing this, doing that, trying to find out what this was. And I would think that if anybody set the conditions up to see an alien, an ET, it would have been me. But for those 6 years, nada, in my whole life, nada. Never seen an alien spaceship, never seen an alien. But I have had multiple experiences with what I've traditionally called angels, but what I now call archons. These are light beings. So within popular culture, there's this, if you buy into any of this, there's this idea that we're dealing with one or the other or both. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, what's your view on it? Do angels, archons exist?
Well, yes, they do, but they're not. They're just basically another type of being. They're just a different race.
Does God exist?
What people call God, is just another being. Just this. I look at that gods as being equal, but they're all just another being. They are a different type of their evolution. They're higher on the evolution than we are, basically.
So that's interesting to me, because one of the visions I've had was these archons, angels. The sense that I got is they didn't know what God was, right? So is that fair to say that even at more advanced levels of being, there's still an uncertainty about what God is? Is that fair?
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you could only understand up to maybe the next level or two above your evolution. So these beings that are in a fourth dimension or a fifth dimension could only understand what it might be like in the sixth and the seventh dimension. They cannot understand more than that, because they could only utilize whatever the particles are within the next dimension.
Now, within cosmology, is it fair to say that this is supernaturalism, or do you view it as intertwined to this natural universe that we're in?
Yeah, I don't believe in supernatural. I just believe that everything is natural.
So that, but these beings exist, but what you're saying is that they are natural and they're somehow woven interdimensionally with our existence in these 3-4 dimensions. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, well that's interesting. Within popular culture, on the internet, meme, there's this idea of a fake alien invasion. I first ran across it about 5 years ago, and I kind of muse on these things. And what was consistent to me is that the military-industrial complex would want something like this, that it's not beyond the realms of possibility that they would engineer and enact a fake alien invasion. And the reason is because, over the last 100 years, they've pretty well now, reached the limits of their outsourcing of war, So, that's partly true. They don't necessarily need this, but it's consistent that it would work for them, for this agenda of theirs, for non-stop war, because now the war would be global, and it would be against aliens that they've created. This is perfect for them. So Kah-Len, have you come across this? What's your take on this?
Well, yeah, I've known it for quite some time now. There's a lot of chatter within the Federation of Planets and the New Planet Federation. They've been wanting to come here to bring us disclosure. These are benevolent beings, but the problem has been that this fake war is about to happen, and it's really a disinformation. What they want to try and do is cause a disruption and bring fear into people that these benevolent beings will end up looking to be just another enemy to the people here, because a lot of the religious organizations and the Christian church, for instance, believe that a lot of alien beings are just basically demons. And
all of them would be demons.
Yeah, that all of them would be demons, and so that would make it really difficult for the disclosure from happening here.
So yeah, as far as I can buy into this, it makes a lot of sense. This is not something that's irrational. So yeah, that's absolutely bizarre. Well, thanks for your thoughts on that. Now, is this a prison planet?
Yes, it is.
So there's something about this place, this particular planet, that has gone very wrong then.
Well, yeah, there was, originally as a prison planet, there's a grid system set up around the planet. It's a consciousness grid that actually wipes the memories of those who reincarnate on this planet. So within the next lifetime, their memories are wiped, so they don't remember who they are. And as a prison planet, it was utilized for making people become more, what's the word for it?
Hostile?
less hostile or less aggressive. With each reincarnation, they forget who they were, and so they could eventually become better people. But the Alpha Draconians coming here had taken advantage of that system, and just recently, this grid system was almost gone. And what had happened was some people from the Pleiades have come here, Ashtar and his people. The Giza intelligence had joined forces with the Alpha Draconians and had created a new type of religion called the New Age, where they have called this grid system the Christ consciousness grid. And so...
Can I stop you there?
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're saying is they're just taking another card out of the old playbook and have just created another manipulation tactic by a New Age religion. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Now, what's interesting to me is this overlapping of traditional metaphysics with modern cosmology, in this case a UFO alien cosmology, because you're mentioning that there's a soul.
Yes.
Which is part of, ancient mythology. Now, I've been reflecting on the idea of a soul recently in the light of modern computer metaphors. And that what makes sense to me today is that the soul is some kind of download. So it's not a soul in the mythological sense. Do you think there's anything to that? Or does a soul, as mythology articulates, is that part of religion true?
Well, I think a lot of people really don't understand what the soul really is, and so they make up all these different, ideas or whatever.
Okay,
what the soul is.
Tell us your idea of what the soul is then.
Well, to me, the soul is a particle. It's like how the scientists have recently discovered the neutrinos. Well, the soul would be the subneutrinos. It's a smaller particle yet that travels even billion times faster than the neutrinos itself. But it's a particle, and that particle travels within the universe, and it's also stationed within your physical body.
So what I can take away from that then is that there is a physical component to the soul.
Yes.
So what you would be saying is that we just haven't found the instrumentation sensitive enough to find that soul. Is that a correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Through each evolutionary process, it just becomes like you're going from matter to fine matter, right? And all everybody goes through these evolutionary processes. The higher the evolutionary process, the finer the matter is, the finer material world. So you don't even need the physical body is no longer needed. Now you're just a light being. So the higher.
But it is a body. The light body is a body still.
Yes,
so it's a finer type of material cosmos.
Exactly.
So it's a higher frequency or
higher
something
frequency,
like that.
And then you become a we form. We call a we form, and as you become a we form through the higher evolutionary process, the highest we form that we know of, the name that was given is called Patali, and the Patali level. This is first the being that had brought these 10 commandments here. Was Patali, but they all, to me, have their own hidden agenda.
Anyway, I want to thank you for sharing this, Kah-Len. It's certainly, for me, interesting. I mean, when you've done what I've done, I mean, you take it all in. I mean, that's just what I do. I just take it all in, and I sort of have my own vetting and processing faculties, and I go, okay. What I can tell you is I don't find it irrational. there's something about the way you're framing this, you're phrasing it, that I can't outright dismiss it as lunacy, you know. Is it true? I don't know. I mean, do parts of what you're saying line up to my experiences? Yes. Is it possible what you're asserting here? I certainly think it is possible. There's to me nothing impossible or incongruent about other life forms existing.
Yes.
You know, obviously the big question is, are they existing ubiquitously, you know, here on this planet, interacting with us? According to you, they are indeed ubiquitous, and they are indeed interacting with us. You had mentioned that there's a period of time here where there's an opportunity for the soul, for the body, to transmute into another dimension.
Yes.
And if we don't, we get stuck here within the prison for much longer. Is this true?
Yes, this is correct.
Yeah.
Every 25,860 years, we go through this, you know, all the 12 epochs of our zodiacs, right? And so we are now in the age of Aquarius.
So that, excuse me, that's called the precession of the equinox. That's the rotation of this solar system around the great central sun. Okay.
Yes, and we are now the closest to the central sun as we ever were. And every 25,860 years is when we are the closest to the central sun. And cosmic law dictates that we have to reincarnate until we can eventually
evolve into the next
the next
dimension. Yeah.
And we can't evolve unless we actually meditate when we are closest to the central sun. And so this helps us to move into the next dimension.
And if we don't achieve this, you know, transformation from this body into the next dimensional body, we end up being trapped in this prison planet. Is that
yes, there's two ways to actually leave this planet. One is either through creating a Merkaba field around you, which allows you to travel to another planet within the universe, or by ship. There's only two ways, really.
Sounds like the old "and God took Enoch." Thank you, Kah-Len, for that.
Yeah. This is true evolution, where you go from this particle or the chronon to the next particle up, and so you're basically changing your atoms from the inside out to evolve into the next dimension, which will be the fourth.
This is all very, very interesting. I think we'll wrap it up here. I'd be happy to do another interview with you if anybody requests it. But for now, I think we should wrap it up. A lot more going on this planet than a lot of people would be willing to give credit for. Thanks for sharing your story, Kah-Len. And
it's great to be here.
Best wishes to all of us in the coming decades as this unfolds, if indeed it does unfold. www.andrewmarkmusic.com. Peace. Have a good day.